Hi everybody. Are you ready for a cooking class tonight? Great. We have a nice Chardonnay chilling, and we can all dig into that after we get our cutting done. But I wanted to show you the delicious recipes that we have for this week. As always, you will be getting your box at home in the next couple of days, so you will have a few days. You'll have 3 meals that you can cook over the week, and so you'll be able to try all of these again at home. So today we have mustard crusted chicken, Bayou shrimp, delicious, and sausage and kale quesadillas. So it's sort of the garden of good and evil with your sausage and then kale. But first I want to go through our lesson for the week, okay? And this lesson is a very, very important lesson. It may seem very simple, but it's probably one of the most important lessons you will get. And it is taste as you go. I think it is the difference between good cooks and bad cooks, and or just not skilled cooks. Is I think a lot of people try to put things in the oven or put things on the stove and then leave them, and I think that's what leads to bland and overcooked foods. So every time you cook a HelloFresh dish, you are embarking on a journey from raw product to delicious finished result. Along the way, there will be several opportunities to season your dish. Sure, you could add some salt and pepper to the final plate and call it a day. But doing so doesn't give the seasonings time to spread their flavor throughout the stages of the dish. Instead, you want to taste as you go and continue to adjust the seasoning to make sure you are building flavor from start to finish. The first opportunity to taste and season happens with the raw product. Say you've chopped some vegetables, coated them with olive oil, and seasoned with salt, pepper, and cumin. Taste a piece of pepper or some raw fennel and see if the ratio of spices seems right. The same thing can be done with proteins. Of course, you don't want to take a big bite of raw ground chicken, but if you're making meatballs out of it, you can season the meat, cook up a small piece in a pan, and taste it to make sure your mixture is perfect before you continue on your journey. The next chance you have to season comes during cooking. Say you're sauteing some kale and onions. You put the onions in a hot pan for a couple of minutes to soften them and season them with salt and pepper. Once you add the kale, cook it down for a bit, taste it again. Does it need more salt? Maybe you added a bit too much the first time around and the vegetables are seasoned enough as it is. Only by tasting will you know if you are ready to move on to the next step. The final tasting is the most important. Taste a spoonful of chili or a bite of your stir fry. Do all the flavors come through? Does it taste a bit bland? Here you can make a final seasoning adjustment and add chili flakes or hot sauce if you like heat, or some lime juice if your palate is asking for a bit of acidity. Remember, everybody's taste is a bit different, which is why tasting as you go is crucial. Properly seasoning your dish allows you to adjust to your particular palate and that of your dinner guests. And I can't tell you how many times I have been cooking and that last bite just isn't up to snuff. And especially if you've been cooking for an hour or so on a meal, and then all of a sudden you taste it and it's just not enough. That's a time when I'll often even have my husband taste it and say, what does it need? And then we'll add some more things into it, and it may take something that was totally bland, not very good, up the next notch to a wonderful, wonderful dish. So, okay. So let's start and go through some of our recipes for today, okay? So, to start off with, table number 1 has sausage and kale quesadillas with fall salsa. This is a fall twist on classic Mexican. We've combined nutritious kale and savory sausage to create the perfect filling for this cheesy quesadilla. To cool it off, serve it with a side of seasonal apple salsa, or as we like to call it, falsa. So this has, at your table, you'll have sausage, kale, button mushrooms, red bell pepper, lime, red onion, an apple, mozzarella cheese, flour tortillas, garlic, and olive oil. Now, this is 919 calories, which is high, but it makes 2 huge quesadillas. I only ate half of one quesadilla, and I was full. My husband ate a whole quesadilla and just said he was unbelievably stuffed. So if you are watching your weight a little bit, you can still have this and just only eat half of a serving. It's 67 grams of carbohydrates, 58 grams of fat, 42 grams of protein, and 10 grams of fiber. So we're going to preheat the oven to 400, and then you're going to remove the stems and ribs from the kale and discard them, and then finally cut the kale into ribbons. You're going to chop the red onion, chop the bell pepper, cut it into thin strips and then cubes, and then juice the lime and slice the mushrooms, mince the garlic. At that point, you can get your glass of wine. So, oh, sorry, you got to cut your apple first. So cut the apple around the core into 4 pieces. This is a really easy way to cut an apple. So you cut it into 4 pieces, just cut it in a square, and then cut into small cubes in a bowl. Combine the apple with the bell pepper, the lime juice, and half the chopped onion, and then season with salt and pepper and set it aside in the fridge so the flavors can all meld. Then you're going to heat some olive oil in a pan and add the kale and cook it for about 4 minutes until wilted, and then season with salt and pepper. You're going to remove the sausage, and then you're going to take it off and put it in a bowl or a dish. And in the same pan, it's one of the things I like is they try and limit how many pans you have to use quite often. So HelloFresh does this a lot. So they'll send you sausage and then they'll have you remove it from the casing. So you really just have like a spicy ground pork. So you're going to remove the sausage from its casing and add it to the same pan you cooked the kale in. Cook for about 6 minutes, breaking up the pieces until it's no longer pink. Add the mushrooms, garlic, and the rest of the onion and cook it for about 5 to 7 minutes until it's softened. Then you're going to take the two of the tortillas and put some cheese down. This is on a lightly oiled baking dish. And then top with the kale and the sausage mixture. Top with some more cheese and then the other tortilla on top to kind of glue the quesadilla together. Place it in the oven for 6 to 8 minutes until the tortillas are slightly crisp and the cheese is melted. And then you just cut it into wedges and you serve it with the apple salsa on the side. So it's kind of nice. I like when they do like sausage meals, they usually give you some sort of salad or green on the side so that it's a little bit healthier since the sausage is so fatty. But sausage is delicious. All right. Table number 2 has mustard crusted chicken. I love cooking chicken this way. Again, I am not a huge fan of chicken breast because I find it's often very dry. This is a way of cooking a chicken breast. It's the healthier piece of meat for you. So here's a way to cook it where it doesn't dry out and it's got a ton of flavor. In this dish, chicken breast is coated with tangy mustard and then covered with panko mixed with Italian seasoning. We've served it with yellow pepper, onions, green beans, and roasted red potatoes. The texture and colors in this dish will leave everyone satisfied. So you've got chicken breasts on your table, carrots, baby red potatoes, green beans, onions, Dijon mustard, Italian seasoning, yellow bell peppers, garlic, thyme, panko, and olive oil. This is a much lower calorie count. It's 548. Carbohydrates 43 grams, fat 21 grams, protein 46 grams, and the fiber is 8 grams. So you're going to preheat your oven to 400 degrees again. Peel and thinly slice the carrots at an angle. I will be honest, I never peel my carrots. I don't mind the edges of carrots, and I'm cooking them, so there's really not going to be any dirt on them, but that's up to you. Most people like their carrots peeled. Cut the potatoes into 1-inch cubes. Strip the thyme leaves off the sprig. Peel, halve, and slice the onions, and then trim the green beans, so take off the ends. Mince the garlic, core, seed, and remove the white veins from the pepper, and then cut it into cubes. Toss the veggies with 2 tablespoons of olive oil and season with salt and pepper. Spread the veggies out on a baking sheet, keeping a spot for the chicken breast. Now, I did this with all of those veggies. I did not have enough room for my chicken, so I actually took, I have a little tiny baking dish from my toaster oven, and I actually used that for the chicken. It was also kind of nice because it allowed me to regulate how much the chicken was cooked a little bit more. So I might recommend that, using a second baking dish. I know the point is to conserve the baking dish, but it didn't have enough room for me. So sprinkle with Italian seasoning and roast for 25 minutes total, tossing halfway through the cooking. Season the chicken breast with salt and pepper on each side in a bowl. Combine a teaspoon of olive oil with the panko, garlic, and thyme. Panko is Japanese breadcrumbs. It's kind of like if you ever have tempura. It's like that crunchy tempura stuff. Remove the veggies from the oven. Place the chicken next to the veggies, then return to the oven. Roast for about 12 to 14 minutes or until the juices run clear. Keep an eye on the veggies. You don't want them to burn. You can also put the chicken under the broiler for a few minutes if you need it to, and you just serve the chicken with the veggies. I love just plain old roasted veggies. I'll have a plate full of sweet potatoes, roasted sweet potatoes, quite a lot, because we have a lot from my garden. So the third table has Bayou shrimp with basmati rice. This is delicious. You're headed down south tonight with this delicious spicy shrimp recipe. We've cooked shrimp in a flavorful sauce made with tomatoes, onions, green bell pepper, and Cajun seasoning. Serve it up over some rice and finish with a squeeze of lemon. So you've got shrimp, flour, green bell pepper, onion, crushed tomatoes, stock concentrate, parsley, Cajun spice, chili flakes, basmati rice, lemon, olive oil, and butter. This is a slightly higher calorie count, but again, half of this recipe is going to be an awful lot of food. So if you want to cut down, it's much more likely you're probably going to eat a third unless you're very hungry. Calories 661, carbohydrates 97 grams, 15 grams of fat, 40 grams of protein, and 7 grams of fiber. Bring 1.5 cups of water to a boil with a pinch of salt. Slice the pepper into cubes. Chop the onion. Chop the parsley leaves and stems, but keep the stems separate from the leaves, and then cut the lemon into wedges. When the water is boiling, add the rice to the pot and return to a boil. Honestly, I used my rice cooker, so that was one less thing I had to keep an eye on. But if you're using a pot, reduce it to a simmer after it boils, cover, and cook for 15 minutes. Then you're going to take a pot and make a roux. So you're going to melt 2 tablespoons of butter in a pot over medium heat. Add half a tablespoon of flour and cook, stirring it until it starts to form a paste and is lightly browned. So then you're going to add the onions and bell pepper and cook for 5 minutes. Then add the tomatoes, spice, stock concentrate, parsley stems, and some chili flakes. So you're going to do that to taste, and you might want to ask around the room how much people like chili to see how much you're going to put in. Bring it to a boil and then reduce to a simmer and cook about 10 minutes until thickened. Then you're going to add the shrimp, cook for another 4 to 5 minutes until opaque in the center, and then fluff the rice, serve it with the shrimp on top, sprinkle with some chopped parsley, and with a lemon wedge on the side. So it's really beautiful too. The colors of that are really, really lovely. And those are our meals for this evening. I hope you're excited. I hope you're ready to eat. We've got a lot of food that we're making tonight, and I hope you'll enjoy these all week long. So if you want to get to chopping, I'll go start pouring wine. All right, let's get going. If you need me, I'll come over to each table.